What do you do to kind of push through those tough times?
Stay patient, don't get impatient, and your time will come. I would give advice to the younger players is that
Hey Renzo, it's good to have you on here. The show started. Could you maybe just give us a bit of a snapshot of who you are and just a bit about your rugby journey?
Hi Ronaldo. So yes, I come from Limpopo, Tzaneen, a small town, and grew up there basically. Went to Ben Foster High School, and after high school, COVID hit, but I got a contract at the Sharks. So I did a year and a half of my 2 years there at the Sharks. While I was there, I got an offer from the Lions to move. I moved here to Joburg, and at the Lions now and really enjoying it. Got married at the beginning of this year as well. That was also very exciting in my life, and that's a little bit about me, where I've been playing and where I'm at now.
Okay. I mean, you've made a very big mark in the Currie Cup this season. I mean, I think your top try scorer on 8 tries, I think 3 man of the match performances. So, I mean, how's the Currie Cup been for you this year? How have you experienced it? And I mean, what's ahead for you this season?
Thank you very much. I think that for me, the Currie Cup actually didn't start as how I wanted it to. I had to fight to get myself into the starting position. I wasn't the first six flank choice at the start of the season. I think the first 4 or 5 games I was on the bench, and just making the best of my opportunities as I got 15-20 minutes. I know my coaches back me, and Coach Mzwaki, our Currie Cup coach as well. I know that he knows what I can do, and obviously he will give me my shot if I put my hand up. So weeks ago, I didn't think I would be where I was now. 8 weeks later, just praise God, I'm really happy where I am now. Happy about where I've been playing the last 3-4 games, and just happy that my coaches backed me, put me on the 6th position, gave me an opportunity. That's the Currie Cup, and then next for the season, obviously our focus is to win the Currie Cup, and so we've got a little bit of a mixed squad this week against the Bulls, and then next week we're following back to the Currie Cup squad again against Griffins, and then semis, and then finals, and hopefully winning it. For us, that's the main goal, and then obviously URC starts in 3-4 weeks. That's obviously, we'll step into that season after this, but main focus at the moment is winning the Currie Cup and making the best of what I have at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned it earlier, so obviously rugby is filled with ups and downs throughout your career and obviously a season. So, I mean, what do you do to kind of push through those tough times, trying to be kind of resilient and get back into the starting team? I mean, that's always a bit of a stumbling block in your career. So, I mean, just for younger guys listening and looking at this, I mean, what's the type of things that you can say to them?
First of all, I'm very grateful to have a good support system. I've got a dad and my wife and a family that's always there for me. I've been through some tough times coming out of school at the Sharks. I had to work my way up, and obviously coming from a small school, not in one of the big schools, your pathway is a little bit different. For me, I would say the biggest thing for me is my faith, just trusting in God and just spending time with Him, and He gives me the peace. I know that going into the future, things will get better. I think that's the biggest thing, is just not to be irritated with the system or get hopeless. I think that's the biggest thing, and knowing that at the end of the day, your shot will come somewhere and somehow, and some guys get it very early, other guys have to work for many years. But when you get an opportunity, I would say for the younger guys, just use it, because we all find ourselves in different paths. Some people make Springboks on 36 like Dion, and other guys make it at 20. Our pathways are different. Don't compare yourself, and that's a big thing for me. I never compared myself to other players, and I just made peace with it, knowing that my pathway is different than someone else's, and I'll enjoy my way, I'll enjoy my race, and just trust in God and know that things will be well and get well.
Yeah, so you touched on that in terms of the path that you've had to take to obviously get where you are today, and that's something I also had in my career, kind of struggling to get to that point where you are successful in a team. So I mean, what was your path like that you can share with the guys, just to give a bit of an oversight of the path that you've had to take, especially coming out of a small school and have to obviously cross a couple of barriers that not most guys have to cover?
Yeah, so a little bit of my pathway. I tasted a little bit of success when I was in high school. So I played SA Schools A in grade 11. I also made the Blitzbook 7 side under 18 when I was grade 11 as well. I tasted a little bit of success, and I was grateful because my coach at that time had some relationships with the SA Schools players, or coaches, sorry. And he basically just kept on telling them, come and look at Renzo, come and watch him play. And I had someone to back me there. But I think my pathway, in a sense of where it's different, is I've received at high school, SA schools and stuff like that, I've received many criticisms from coaches and stuff saying, listen, we don't know if you will be able to play at the highest level in high school because I'm not used to Grey College and Paul Boys week in, week out type of competition. So that was their biggest concern as coaches. But for me, I just had to prove myself daily in training just to show that I can stay with the pace, I can stay with the intensity of the game, what the big schools play at. So I think that was the first block I had to get over. Yeah, and I'm glad I could. And then secondly, after school, I went to the Sharks. Yeah, basically, I got an injury. And in my first 2-3 months I was there, I had to get an ankle operation. As I came back, I had to fight myself back into the team, back into the systems. And yeah, it's a little bit of it was a tough journey for me that time. The year and a half I was there, I wasn't playing much rugby. And I was also told that I must maybe look at something else other than rugby. I was told that I am not good enough and I'm not going to play for the team and for the system and whatever it might have been. So for me, nothing against the Sharks, where I was, and that's where I found myself. Coaches obviously told me I wasn't good enough. That's where I was starting to just look for other opportunities. And that's where the Lions came through. Coach Mzwaki, the junior coach at the Lions, and our Currie Cup coach now, he was the SA Schools coach back then when I was at school. So he knew me. He knew what I could bring. So he said he'll take me and I can come over. So I got an early release at the Sharks and came to the Lions. Yeah, just basically had to build myself up. Haven't played much rugby in those 2 years. Also wasn't picked in any junior box side or squad or anything like that. I couldn't even get into the starting lineup of my own age group team. So I didn't even play under 20 rugby much there. So it was a tough time for me and being away from my family. But yeah, praise God, at the Lions I started, really felt like I was backed by the coaches, by the players, and I created some great friends and just a great environment, and now I found myself here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, congratulations on that. I think a lot of guys that normally go through this type of things either quit or they don't keep pushing, and I think that's something that not a lot of players have inside of them. So congratulations on that. And I mean, just on that thought, I mean, what is your thought going through that whole process? I mean, what is your kind of, where do you see improvements that can be made in junior structures or kind of in some of the competitions? Like, what is your thoughts on that, or for younger guys coming through the system?
Yeah, for me, I think it's so hard for guys at the moment in our country to come through if you haven't played Craven Week. I think that's the biggest thing at the moment. We only have 4 or 5 units contracting players. So a lot of the guys just give up after high school because they didn't get a senior pro rugby contract. I would say definitely the biggest thing for me in our junior system is just opportunities. I would give advice to the younger players is that if you go to varsity and get a varsity contract, that's just even better than going to a union because you have the opportunity to play varsity cup where 20-30,000 people are watching you. Everyone's watching varsity on a Monday night, where the under 21s, the under 20s, the under 19 competition aren't even being broadcasted. You get no exposure in those competitions. I would say exposure is the biggest thing, is just to let some of the youngsters, let people be able to watch their games and stream their games. And I would say that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, and obviously those things teach you a lot of kind of resilience and a bit of life lessons. So, I mean, obviously, what would your kind of biggest lesson be from what you've taken in the first kind of 2 or 3 years, and then obviously taking that forward in your career ahead?
Yo, it's a good question. If I would say some of the biggest lessons I've learned is, and I touched a little bit on it previously, is just being absolutely just not over eager, I would say. Just trust the process, trust the way you go into. I think at the Sharks, I got so frustrated, and where days I wasn't even in the mood to go and train, I wasn't in the mood to do anything. I put myself in a little corner, and getting out of that corner was tough. I would say that's the biggest thing, the lesson that I've learned is just stay patient, don't get impatient, and your time will come. And like I said, the biggest lesson I've also learned, and I'll be honest with it, like my relationship with Christ also grew in the years that I experienced this, and for me, where I'm sitting now, is just the biggest lesson I've learned as well is just trust in God and not to question His abilities or His plan for your life. Because at the end of the day, if I look back now, I would say that the Sharks was a blessing for me going through that, because it created a much stronger mindset, and it gave me a story behind where I am at the moment, and I learned a lot from it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's what I said to you earlier. That's something that I also experienced in my career. And I mean, it makes you more hard. And I mean, you appreciate what you have so much more than guys kind of coming through the system and getting everything on a plate. So yeah, I mean, again, that's something that I think a lot of younger guys should take advice from guys like you, because it still happens and it will always continue to happen. And it's just important to keep fighting and keep pushing through. I think on a bit of a lighter note, I mean, life beyond the field is also something that's important, especially with what we're building at OctaField and what we have in mind with everything. So now you're obviously still young, but I mean, do you have any interest outside of rugby, any business ventures or hobbies that you're interested in?
Yes, actually, I love business. And since high school, I was doing small things, importing things from China, trying to sell it at my school. So for me, life out of rugby is just, first of all, my relationships. Like I said, I just got married. So I love spending time with my wife and with our families. And then secondly, business-wise, I opened up a coffee shop at the Lions. I've learned a lot about coffee the last couple of months. And also business ventures that I am in at the moment is Airbnbs and rental properties that I got myself into early, because there was a time where basically you can save a lot of money. So I did that. And in the future, I've got a lot of interest in property renovations and property flips, which I really actually am getting into now at the end of the year. The goal to do our first property flip and building on that and creating a portfolio.
Okay, that's great. Well, if you have the Airbnbs, we'll put the links in the podcast episode below for the guys that's maybe interested in looking at that. Yeah, and I mean, from moving on about a bit more personal, inspirational aspect, I mean, every player has moments in their career that kind of define them, or just as a bit of a highlight. So, I mean, what inspirational or pivotal moment do you think you've had that's been great over the last year or so in your career? You obviously said you got married, which is a highlight, but from a rugby point of view, again, you've had some great moments this year. So yeah, I mean, what was your most memorable one?
Yeah, so I would definitely say the last couple of weeks. Honestly, like I mentioned 8 weeks ago, I didn't think I would be where I am right now. And yeah, just extremely grateful for that. So my highlights definitely last 3, 4, 5 weeks of rugby. Being able to start before the Currie Cup was basically just playing some warm-up games, going through pre-seasons and all of that. So not much exciting things. So yeah, that's the biggest one for me in the last year probably.
And I mean, just a couple of quick questions. I mean, what's your go-to meal before a game?
Definitely pasta, a cream chicken spinach pasta or your normal spaghetti bolognese.
Okay. Toughest opponent the last season or so?
I would comment on that after the Currie Cup, probably. I think I'm still going to play against some tough oaks, but I must say, as we were playing last week against the Cheetahs, Opa Mahoje is a tough guy, hard guy to bring down. So yeah, definitely him.
Okay. Any hidden talents or hobbies that fans might not know about?
I love cooking, and I find it as a hobby. So I do the cooking in our house, and I try every week to make a new recipe or something new that we haven't tasted yet. So yeah, probably that.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I always ask the guys at the end, like, what excites you the most about the future? I mean, both for rugby and obviously beyond coming up.
What excites me the most is, I would say, there's still so much more to be achieved. And what I have achieved in the last couple of weeks, I'm extremely grateful for and thankful for. But there's still so much more in rugby, in business, and in life that can be achieved. And my goals are to achieve those things. So yeah, that's what keeps me going daily and excites me, that yeah, there's still many blocks, many hurdles, and many ladders that I can climb.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, thanks for your time today, Renzo. I mean, it's always good to chat to you.
Thanks so much,
you guys. And yeah, I mean, we wish you luck on the journey, and hopefully we'll have you on at some point. Hopefully when you maybe put on the green and gold in the coming seasons.
Yes, definitely. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.